the buzz. I got to tell you, it's a little bit astounding for me to have burned out 20 years ago. June 17th, 2004, I remember the day very clearly. I walked into the hospital and I had 18 hospitalized patients I was taking care of. Somebody said to me, hey, colleagues called in sick, can you take the alpha pager? The alpha pager means you take all air traffic control from all neighboring hospitals and assess incoming admissions. On top of that, the people pleaser in me said, sure, I'll do it. And I put that right on me. 6 a.m. I started, it's now 11 a.m. And I turn to the nurse and I say, Nina, could you please get me 40 milliequivalents of IV potassium for the gentleman in 636? And she says to me, Dr. Sangwan, are you okay? That was my first indication I might not be. And I said, yeah, why? And she said, that's the fourth time in under 5 minutes you've asked me that same question and I've answered you every time. I met burnout in a way that had me feeling clueless, that had me shocked that I had been through 13 years of higher education and didn't know what this thing was that was going on. In our world today, I might be considered successful. I had mastered shutting down my inner world so that I could perform in the outer world. You wanted me to do 36-hour shifts? I knew exactly how I'd do that, and I'm probably going to share that with you in a minute. But in order to become an engineer to make sure my father was happy, and a doctor to make sure that my mother was happy, and both of them to make sure the Indian community thought I was the bomb, I had to successfully tune out of my body map. The unique way that my body communicates with me to tell me that something's not quite right, is totally off, might be okay, but I need to ask a question, or is just right. And I gotta say, I came a little late to the conference. I flew in late last night. But when I walked in, there's a sense of, I'm in the right place. Like that, that exhale, that's what I'm talking about. When you walked in, just notice what it felt like to you to be here. If it's the first time, notice that. If it's to be back again and you're signing up before you leave because you know you're gonna be here again next year, notice how your body lets you know. So my body had been talking to me very strongly, throat constriction, stomach turning. I thought something was wrong with me. I went under anesthesia. It's so embarrassing to tell these stories. Honestly, I keep waiting for the day it's not embarrassing, but it is. I convinced 2 separate colleagues to put me under anesthesia because I was convinced, as I was learning about cancers and throat cancers and all of this, that the sensation of shortness of breath that was progressively getting worse had to have meant that a lump, a cancerous growth, was growing here. After the second anesthesiologist got me off the table, he said, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a 4th-year med student. He's like, this is stress. This is stress-related symptoms. There's nothing wrong with you. Now, on one hand, I was relieved. Chemo was not my next, decision to make, whether to do chemo or not. But I was actually more perplexed. Now what? So what you've just told me is there's not I need to live with this? And so one of the big ideas that I really want to talk about today, by the way, did anyone notice Colleen had a green power suit on? Did anyone? I just want you to know the big ideas. We had a memo earlier on that you wear your green power suit. So what I really wanted to know was, what do we do here? That was the first dilemma that came to me. Now, I want you to take a moment. I want you to tell the person next to you, and I'm not going to do it for long because I only have 12 minutes, okay? Tell the person next to you how your body talks to you when you get out of your comfort zone. Just tell them if anything resonates, or just own it and say, I don't know. I think I'm an expert at the outside world. I don't know yet, okay? Tell them. How does your body communicate with you when you're getting out of your comfort zone? All right, I'm bringing you back. Now, the problem is, and you can continue this conversation certainly at lunch. The problem is when your body starts talking, because it's always talking to you, when your body is talking to you, the question is, are you listening? And as you can imagine, with the load that was on my plate, I had to figure out some way to get it to stop talking. I came up with a time-tested, foolproof equation, and it sounded something like this. It looked something like this. 2 ice-cold 16-ounce Mountain Dews, plus a king-size Snickers bar, and you could get me awake in the hospital taking care of patients for 36 hours. The next thing I want you to think about is when that discomfort comes up for you, what's your time-tested equation that when your body's saying not one more thing, no, 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 how do you flip it and get over that deadline and make sure that it says yes? Sometimes it's your mind bullying your body into like, hey, not now. Hey, I know you have to go to the bathroom. Why now? Not now. There's a way that we divide within ourselves. And as I was writing this book, Powered by Me, I started looking into how collectively, we just had a conversation about AI, how collectively we're working are using only our minds, right, to make the world outside of us faster. And that we have become a world that thinks faster is better, do more with less, and success requires struggle, not here, of course, profit over people, but the wider world thinks these beliefs. And our need for belonging is so strong. It's like food, sleep, air, belonging. It's that important to us. So might there be a way that as we've moved through our world, we want to measure up to society's version of success? And what I'm really going to advocate for is that what if it's not faster is better and do more with less, but what if it's together, meaning my body, mind, heart, and soul, what if together was faster? What if together was faster? What if we could think about this differently? And so that's what I've been working on. 20 years ago, I decided, okay, Neha, what are the ways, not just the sugar, caffeine, buzz strategy, but there's many other ways, and I'm gonna put a few of them on here just to give you ideas and get you thinking. It might be the retail therapy strategy. It might be the chocolate makes everything better strategy. I'm not sure what it is, but you've got one. Make sure you know what it is. There's a big overwhelm around burnout. What is it? I'm just going to give you, I will go much deeper into this in the workshop that I'll be doing after lunch. But there's a triad of exhaustion, cynicism, and ineffectiveness that are the cornerstones of burnout. And there's nuances there it's important to understand. Burnout doesn't happen all at once. You aren't fine Monday and then burned out Friday. There's phases. Your physiology, Mother Nature is way too smart to let that happen. She is adjusting and helping your body and your physiology adjust. First, there's the alarm phase, where you've just jumped on a treadmill that seems like it's going too fast. That feeling of adrenaline, your heart starts racing, you might be, startled. There's the alarm phase. When that continues and you make that your way of life, you move into the chronic adaptation phase. That's where you're doing all sorts of things. You're going from half a cup of coffee in the morning to make it a double. You're now using more and more of your coping mechanisms to adjust, but you don't realize it. And then one more thing happens. One more thing happens, and suddenly you're sliding down the slippery slope of exhaustion phase to burnout. We'll talk more about this. I want to bring this into the real big idea here. I learned firsthand that there was only so much. Employees go to EAP when they're stressed out. Everyone's like sending them somewhere. Hey, could you help? So the Employee Assistance Program. Guess what? They assess them and send them to who? Me. Except I never got any training in medical school about what burnout was. I didn't even know what it was when it happened to me. What the traditional medical world has to give people during this is a few important things. I can write for time off that's paid so that you are not a bullet train running into a brick wall. Awesome. So 10 days, a month off. I also have the magic prescription pen of some cocktail that's going to give you antidepressant, anti-anxiety, or sleep medications. Now, let me tell you why this is important. My physiology was so out of whack, I wasn't sleeping. Thank God there's something that can get me from falling off the cliff to getting my biology back into working. So I'm not knocking medications. I just think they need to be used for the right ailment, for the right person, for the right length of time. And then they need to be weaned off as we figure out what the underlying cause is. If you have someone really progressive as a doctor, they're going to tell you to do some stress management, and they're going to tell you to do yoga, okay? Currently, stress and burnout, as estimated by the American Institute of Stress, cost businesses $300 billion a year. We don't know how to handle this, and we need to own that. So I want you to know, I'm going to move through this a little bit quicker, but basically, people ask me, is burnout my fault? I can't tell my employer. I can't talk about it because they're going to think it's my fault. Here's what I want to tell you. Did my Mountain Dew and Snickers bar and people-pleasing nature contribute to me burning out? You bet. Was it my fault? No. The alternative was me being asleep in the hospital and someone dying. I think I'm kind of a genius, okay? Mountain Dews and Snickers to like save someone's life, got it. Like, I'm pretty amazing, okay? And I'm gonna thank that caffeine sugar buzz strategy that got me through a tough time when I didn't have better solutions. I'm pretty creative, and each one of you are too. So we're in a world that's trying to make us move faster is better and do all these things that our biology doesn't work with very well, and we're adapting. So first start by thanking yourself and your coping mechanism. Don't berate it or make it bad. But here's the deal. When we're in toxic cultures that don't address conflict, we're all learning about how to do that, thanks to Bill Urey today, then only can we be, so there's me and how I handle my stress, there's the culture in which I am a part of, and there is tsunamis and pandemics and wars and all sorts of other things. I'm an engineer. The most complex issues in the world cannot be solved unless we look at them on a me, we, world level. We gotta put things into context and really see what's happening. So no, it's not your fault. And what we will do in the workshop is basically go through how to get underneath the root cause of what's happening and actually demystify burnout, personalize it to each individual, and then give you powerful and practical tools to heal. And for those of you that will not be at my session, I want you to have these tools as well. There might be something else that's calling to you that's more important. If that's true right now, save this for later if this is something at all that's interesting to you or those you love and lead, which is a pulse check of a burnout awareness prescription with me, probably 50 minutes of 10-minute videos explaining each section to you, okay? Take a picture of that. And then lastly, what I want to say is the very big idea that I ran out of time for, which is hilarious, is that I believe companies now, we're not going to do this one person at a time, one doctor and one patient at a time. We don't have time for that. We've run out of time. And I found a much better way to do it. It's called Bridging Me, We World, where entire companies at the same time, in 15 months, about a year, a little over a year, because I spent 3 months with the executive team, for 1 year, from CEO to new hire, everybody deals with emotional health, mental health, getting a common language to be personally accountable, up-level their communication, and learn powerful tools to take accountability and connect and create a culture of truth, trust, and transparency. That can be done in 1 year and the entire company. This isn't gravity rounds where I start at the CEO, I work with the leadership team, and then I keep dropping down to the next level of leadership until 5 years later, I've hit leaders only. You need to do this for everybody. I think our education system has failed us. I think a lot of our school system, our families, my parents didn't know, they couldn't teach me. It's now on us, business leaders. It's our turn to show up.